love is not at all what it used to be. Trust me, I know, I'm single. Love today means swiping right, sexting, ghosting, snapping, emojiing, and 100 other things that didn't exist 10 years ago. This digital love is not the love I grew up with or ever aspired for. It's a different beast, and one I've grown familiar with over time, though I still don't fully understand it, but I'm trying to. And I'm trying to because I believe it's very important that we're always aware of the present narrative of love, so we can love those we care for as they want or perhaps know how to be loved. This isn't easy, and it demands great courage from all of us, but I believe it's essential for us to love better. Consider my example. I grew up in India, a place where love and sex was a universal secret. Everyone knew about it and was probably doing it, but no one ever spoke about it. And that's why we have 1.3 billion Indians out there. Well, as I hit puberty, my parents never sat me down and gave me the talk about the birds and the bees. And in this vacuum of knowledge, I had to rely on movies, as many teenagers do, to fill in the blank spaces of adulthood. But didn't always help to see flowers trembling and birds kissing in Indian Bollywood movies. English movies, on the other hand, provided way more realism. But the price of it was always awkward conversations, pointed stares, and cold judgment from my parents. Fortunately, sex is now taught in most schools all over the world, but only from the perspective of health and education, and never pleasure and affection. And what this does is it creates a deficit of intimacy in all of us. We are all becoming dysfunctional beings for failing to explore our own notions of sexuality and intimacy. This sucks. We need to fix this. We need to provide safe spaces and mediums where this exploration of ourselves and our identities is seen as a vibrant possibility and not a hidden option. And what's safer than a book? A book seems out of place almost everywhere in today's world, but I believe all of us owe it to ourselves to make at least one book in our lifetime, our own book of love. Let me explain. A few months ago, I found myself in a crowded bookstore in Bangalore, the startup capital of India. I was hunched over this dusty old copy of the original book of love, the Kama Sutra. I picked it up from the classic section, and the caricatures immediately made me laugh out loud. I'm pretty sure all the women around me must have given me disgusted looks, but all I could focus on then was how unrealistic and antiquated this sex manual was. Everyone in the book had these perfect superhuman bodies that none of us have, and all the positions seemed like something straight out of the routine of an Olympic gymnast. I left the bookstore with many, many questions that day, but one of them still persists. Is this what love is about? I'm not sure. But what I do know is that this was perhaps love a long time ago. And if we don't document the cultural history of affection as experienced by our parents, our grandparents, and our elders, we will lose it forever. And so this is where all our books of love should begin, with a deep appreciation of the past and where we come from. Love isn't finite or constant. It changes every time we encounter it. And that's why I chose to make a new Kama Sutra, a book I hope will grow old with all of us as we populate it, taking into account all the nuances and complexities of the digital era and our future selves. Yeah? So take it all in. This book is a living book. It's like software. It grows and evolves as we get older, as we grapple with these notions of intimacy, affection, and romance. Sex toys, distance, body shapes, orientations, diversity. These are some of the issues we're tackling in our first release. And future versions will cover everything from medically assisted sex and polyamory to bionic penises and vaginas. So I'm fairly certain we'll never run out of things to discover together. And that's a good thing. That's a great thing. Because in a world full of perfect machines, our flaws and sometimes even our fetishes make us all the more human. But because we're human, we're imperfect. We make mistakes. We hold on to false beliefs. We limit the choice of others. We tell them love is not love if it hurts me or challenges my understanding of it. And so it's true. We've always lacked intentionality in this discourse. But I believe our books of love will fix this. Our books of love are real. They already inhabit our homes and our lives, but we just haven't paid enough attention to them yet. They are the scribbled post-it notes on the fridge, the lost photographs, the secret journals, the fragile boxes kept in dark attics away from prying eyes, and countless other items that remind us every single day of our past and the people we once loved, the people we once called home. So my request to all of you today is to go home, revisit them, and then think deeply about the future love you want for yourselves, your children, and your grandchildren. Ask yourselves, what would I borrow from my parents' era? What about your own? Would you want your children to feel what you felt? What would you keep? What would you take away? What would you protect them from? These conversations are never the easiest to have with ourselves or others. But this is precisely why we must start having them today. So yeah, go home, wake up, let's love a little bit better tomorrow. Thank you.